All right, welcome back, YouTube. So we are gonna do the next little bit of video here. Keep picking away at the Honda. Last video we got the exhaust on, all permanently mounted up. We got our lower engine mounts in the last video. So right now I am gonna have Christy over there. She's gonna come put the wiring harness on, and we are gonna get the wiring harness all permanently, well, temporarily mounted where it goes, and then all of our plugs off this harness will get replaced. So follow along, and that's what we're gonna have Christy do next. So we gotta get the CDI box put on. All of our electronics have a mount basically, but there's certain spots where we're swapping from Honda parts to the new Polaris harness. So like for instance, we have an LTR taillight that has to plug into the Polaris harness, and we don't want to cut up the harness and modify it. So what I did was I bought all the connectors we need from Corsa Technic. Those have all the factory style plugs for your harness. So what we'll do is we'll put the Polaris plug onto the taillight so it plugs into the harness, and anywhere on the frame that the plugs don't match up, that's what we'll be doing, is modifying the accessories to plug into a factory harness. So that way in the future, if we ever need to hopefully not, but replace the harness, we can take any harness and just slap it on here and all of our shit will fit. So Christy's gonna get the harness all on here where it goes, that way everything fits and we can wire it to where it looks nice. And our new anti-gravity battery will be here Wednesday. So I'm kind of just gonna watch while Christy works on this tonight and provide professional guidance.
Gee, thanks.
So let's keep going. So on another note, before I forget, we did get the new Mishimoto radiator in, and we're on our second fan. We bought two of them. So this is the Mishimoto fan. That's the 8-inch slimline fan. It's like 650 CFM. The first one we bought was a 10-inch fan right here, which that one fit, but it was pretty tight up here, and didn't really like how it sat in there. So we bought the 8-inch, and then we bought this Mishimoto fan kit to mount it, but not real happy actually with how secure that is. So that's gonna hold it up there, and what we'll end up doing is we'll take the radiator out and we're gonna make aluminum bolt-on brackets for that fan. That'll be a whole nother video, but I just figured I'd show you guys while we got it. And another thing is, what the hell else did we get? I don't know, but that'll be a different thing. After we get this wiring harness done, the next big thing we got to do is coolant hoses. Get our coolant system all plumbed up, and then we're set. And that's what it was. From Mishimoto, we actually also got a fan control kit. So what that kit does is we're gonna wire that in, and this engine had the temperature control switch in the radiator. Well, on a Honda, there's a temperature control switch in the head, I believe it is, of the engine. So by mixing these two together with the Honda radiator and the KTM engine, we don't have anywhere where we have a fan temperature control switch. So with that Mishimoto, that has a switch sensor basically that will go in line on one of our hoses, and then that's actually got a control box with it to where you can dial in and adjust what temperature that fan comes on. So that'll mount up in here somewhere too and be hidden, and then we can make the fan kick on at say I believe it's anywhere from 160 to 210 degrees, so we'll probably have that fan kick on like 180 or something, maybe 175, keep it a little cooler. But it's just a little screwdriver adjustable switch, so we can change that anytime we want. But it's just one little thing that makes it easier for us, gives us the option of putting that switch somewhere. And that's another thing that's going to have a factory plug to plug into our factory locations on the harness. So even though it's off the Mishimoto kit and it's not plugging into the factory plug, all of this aftermarket shit will have factory plugs to go in the harness and it'll be wired up to match. So anyways, that's enough of that, and let's just make Christy get to work. Right?
Yep.
All right, here you go. All right, so first thing Christy's doing, she's mounting the rectifier, and we were lucky enough, this is the Polaris rectifier, and it just so happens to be almost identical to the Honda one, so it bolts right to where the factory Honda one is. So she's gonna get all the bolt-on electronics on. Up here, what we got going, anti-gravity battery mount. This is the CDI box holder right here, so that's just the rubber boot the CDI slips in. Right here is all of our fuses. This plug goes to our accessories up for your handlebars and stuff. What else we got here? I'll show you this back here. So this is the starter relay. This one here is off of a Polaris Predator 500, and the reason is I didn't like how the Polaris one went on this way. So like all your wires would have been sticking in like this. So we bought that one, and it's all the same hookup, but now it puts it upright like this so that we can run stuff along the frame. Just a little thing, and it's all going to plug into factory, but just little shit we changed just to kind of make it look cleaner and more hidden. So Christy's just getting all of our bolt-on stuff done and loving it, right?
Yep. Hopefully I'll get it done tonight.
Hey, yeah. So all of our wires here, she's got plugged in now, and those all get tucked down. We've got our, this is the plug that went to the old radiator thermostat switch or temperature switch. So that's one that we'll get a new one and wire in. So I'll show you the Outlaw switch here. So this is the Outlaw setup. So that's your actual fan control switch on there. And that's what I was saying is over here, we don't have anything on the radiator. So that should have plugged in right here, but obviously we can't do that. So that's where that fan control kit will come in. You got that done yet?
No, not yet.
That goes on the outside.
It won't.
All right, let's let her get that done and we'll come back. All right, back again. So Christy's struggling, but she got wires swapped over. This is temporary. So starter solenoid is plugged into the harness. She got the rectifier here.
Mounted on the correct side this time.
Yeah, even the right way, facing up.
Oh.
So all that's left back here is, this is our taillight. This is our starter solenoid. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut this wire off the solenoid side because we're not going to use that. And then we'll take this plug and I'll solder ends on here so it plugs into this coil, so that way we retain our factory plug. So then we're good all the way up to here. We've got foot pedal brake light. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld in a metric bung here somewhere. I don't know about right there, but somewhere. This is a factory body ground or frame ground, so I want this to be able to bolt on somewhere like normal. I might even go up behind or underneath or something. I don't know, but that's why we're doing this, is so we can figure all this stuff out. Then we've got our starter wired in. This is wired in for stator and everything. Fan switch. So now we're all the way up here. Next thing she needs to do is go ahead and bolt our coil on. And after that, we'll get all the front end stuff done. So she's getting there, just little at a time.
I'm working on it. 2.5 hours later.
Yep. You did it. All right, so CDI box is in loosely, but that's where it'll sit. See, it's not bolted on tight. These wires will get all taped up, or not taped, but zip tied up nice and tight. Fuse panel. Right here we got, like, this is our fan plug, which will go down to a fan. This goes to a whole block, which is like your indicator lights and stuff like that that's still in the plastic. Indicator lights run off this, your key switch runs off this, a couple other things. Your headlights all run off that. Everything that mounts to the front plastic runs off that plug, so that is still on the other plastics. We haven't taken it off yet. And then this last wire goes up to the kill switch on the handlebars over there, which we're gonna probably do something different with that. But other than that, the next thing to do, there's the coils on, spark plugs in. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to start changing over our plug wires to these. Another thing, this positive cable, the battery used to sit right back in here on the Outlaw, so the plug only had to go that far. But now we're actually going to swap this wire to a bigger wire, because it's going to run that whole length of the harness all the way up to the anti-gravity in the front. So we'll be swapping this one wire out, run that to the front. That's the last battery power or battery wire to hook up. So all in all, that's almost the whole harness roughly hooked up. Like I said, a couple little mounts to put on, and tidy some stuff up to a permanent location, which we kind of have to have a few more things show up so we know where a permanent location is going to be. But basically that's it. It's almost ready to run as it's sitting right now. So next thing is we'll start swapping some plugs. If you guys don't know how to do that, then I'm about to show you, so stay tuned. All right, we got our plugs in. Christy got all the harness on roughly. We got our new wire for the battery. Got our battery in. So Saturday out here, I'm messing around. I'm gonna start swapping our plugs over to factory style plugs. If you guys are ever looking for plugs for your machine, right there, they got almost everything you need. So what I'm doing here is taking, I got, which is, one of these is to the Outlaw harness and one's to the LTR harness. So the problem, I don't want this thing to all be hacked together with butt splices and shit like that. So for instance, this is an LTR connector. The plug it goes on. So it's got to go right here is the Outlaw connector. Obviously they don't match. Well, I don't want to just cut those off and splice them together, so I ordered the connectors for factory, and I'm going to start swapping all those to where everything that's not Outlaw plugs into the Outlaw harness. That way the Outlaw harness is all unmolested. So that's the plan now. Everything else is pretty much all plugged in. I put a tapped hole here, that's grounded. Brake switch isn't hooked up yet. So this battery wire runs all the way up to the new battery location. It used to be back here on the Outlaw, but we got the anti-gravity here. So this will plug in right up here. We'll have a ground that runs to the frame right here. We threw this old set of bars on, and I don't know if I showed you guys, but one of the coolest things about this build is this little bugger right here. That is the reverse lever. So Honda 450R with reverse. It's gonna be pretty sweet. So I'll show you guys as I start doing this. I don't know if anybody, I know some people do, but in case you haven't put these connectors on before, I'll show you guys how I do it. And it's really freaking easy, and it makes it look really nice when you're done. So here we go, let's get started on this. All right, here's what I did so far. So what I did was I took the two different wiring diagrams and I marked my outlaw wires and then the LTR wires for the tail light, and then for my radiator fan, and then the Mishimoto fan that we're putting on. Then here's the little plug. So this will be the fan plug, and this will be the tail light plug. So these little pins I got to put on the wires, and I like to cut them and solder them on and then crimp them, because I feel like it's a little bit stronger connection. Another thing, so we put the Mishimoto fan on here, and this isn't permanent mounted, but these, I'm not happy with these cheap ass mounts, but I'll make aluminum brackets here. But this fan we got because it's reversible, so it still blows through the radiator. But I just figure I'll show you guys real quick. It's pretty powerful little fan. It's like 3 times factory. So I'll just jumper it here. So pretty happy with that. So let me get these out, get soldering, and see what happens here. Here we go. There's that. We'll save that. You never know when I'll need that on the LTR. Put these back a bit. These little connectors don't need much. About 1/4 inch is all I strip off there. I always like to put the flux on there. Give a little twist. Have a, if you don't have a butane solder gun, whoo, you better get one. Right there, just like that. I don't know if you can see it. See it red hot in there. Adjustable temperature. So nice. I use this thing for everything. Good. I just like to get a big drop on here, and then it just soaks right into that wire. Real quick and easy. That's it. I just feel like tinning them like that makes the connection a little bit stronger, and like the wires don't get all soaked in with water on the ends and stuff. Probably don't need to, but I'm doing it anyway, so why not? So now you got your plug outside. You got, these come in like little kits, and you get to pick the wire size that you're going to use. So these are your little waterproof connectors. So these slide over every wire. So you got to make sure you put this on before you put your ends on. I shouldn't say that. I guess I don't know. I've never tried the other way. And I don't want to. So these are the little things that give it like that automotive waterproof plug style. So if you look, I don't know if you can see, but I got all my wires tinned I got all my waterproof little caps on there. The next thing I want to do before I go too far, while I'm thinking about it, is probably be a good idea just to make sure that this plug even fits. Fuck. Cool. All right, so I happen to get the right one. When you order these, like, it's hard to find part numbers, so you really got to pay real close attention to the configuration of the plugs and the pins, and you really just kind of got to hope. And like a little kit like this right here is like $3, so I kind of just order extras of anything that I think looks close enough. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have extras anyways. So now that I know that fits, now I'll go ahead and take these ends, and they crimp around. So these are the pins that go in the socket. Sorry, I'm just using my GoPro here. You can't see very good. But if you look, they got those little ears that are kind of long. And I like to just take and just cut a little bit of that off. Just like that. So if I hold them up next to each other, I don't know if you can see the difference, but I just take a little bit off. So I'll do that to all of them real quick. And I only do that because it makes it easier to crimp them on the wire. And like I notice, me personally, I don't screw as many of them up if I do that. Crimpers are made specifically for this style of pin. So what they do is they fold those little ears over on themselves. So I just get this set in here. If you, I don't know if you can see again, but I got that set in there. And these are curved to where as they crimp, they fold over and up and around. And so there's two different ones. So you do it in kind of steps. There's the one right there. Once I get these crimped, I'll show you up close what they look like. A lot of times I do these in steps too, like I'll start with the bigger one to get it going in the right direction, and then kind of move down. Crimp that, I'll show you up close on just this one. And then get the, so if you can see, that's finished product right there. And that'll slip right into the plug. And get this prop back up. Alright, now where's the diagram comes in. Because now I'm ready to put all these plugs into this. And I got to make sure that I put them in the right spots. So, obviously since we're not matching up same machine, then the colors don't match. I'm colorblind anyway, so it don't really matter. But so the first color, I gotta go like brake light to brake light. So, and these go in a certain way too because they latch. Sometimes it's hard to push these by the wire. So I'll get in here and I'll grab the prong. If I can. Alright, so I finally got these wires in that were fighting me like hell. But here it is. If you look in there, I put electrical silicone grease on. If you look in there, see those little watertight plugs that go inside the cap? Hey Candace, you hold this for me? Yeah. So now that's all on. So let's just plug it in. And so there's our finished connector. I left this long because like I said before, I don't want to cut the factory harness. but this will all get tied up. That's not gonna necessarily run right there, but but it's all connected right there now. So now I'm gonna move on to the next one. That plug was a pain in the ass, but onto the fan. All right, so I went ahead and I cut this wire off of the plug side that used to be to the old solenoid, because I didn't have to cut the harness side, and that's on there. And I didn't want to mess with the factory harness at all, but where this power cable is, how this loop comes around, I might shorten that up so it runs straight. But that's really the only sacrifice on the factory harness, and I just think this looks like shit like that, so I'd rather cut it. Next thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and come up here and do our fan plug. So I'll get that plug on and show you afterwards. I know this doesn't seem like much, but there's our Mishimoto fan plug. You can see here, you can get this camera to stay up here. It's all through here. And fan plug fits. Alright. So now our Mishimoto is actually plugged into our factory harness. That's about the last plug I can put on for now. But what I am gonna do, here is the old battery negative plug. So I'm actually gonna make a new little cable that's gonna run from the negative right down to the frame for your battery ground. So I'll do that, and then I'm waiting for some different connectors for the positive cable. And then the next thing that I can't do right now is the Outlaw thermostat switch. Down here, if you can see it, this guy right here. Like I said in a different video, we don't have a thermostat switch yet, besides our fan controller kit. So that all has to get mounted, and then I gotta wire that in through the old thermostat switch and that stuff. So that's the last thing really for wiring, unless we do like the kill switch and everything on the handlebars, which I'm sure we will. But the next thing I'm gonna do is the battery ground wire done. So I got just it coming right off the battery to the closest chassis point I can find. And this should be good bare metal. You know, after, I'm trying to think of after paint and everything, I know I can get a good connection on here. So what I did was to check it is right off the battery here, I got the meter on, running back. And then I went to my chassis, kind of where I got my chassis ground off the harness. And just to check, I'll show you guys. Can't ask for much better than that. And another thing, our positive wire here, I don't know if you noticed, but this is actually quite a bit bigger gauge than the factory. And the reason I went bigger is because it's running so far that I didn't want the wire to get hot or anything while we're trying to start it. So I went with that heavier gauge wire just to be able to handle a little bit more amps. But that's about all I'm gonna do for today. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're liking this build, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe to the channel, get notifications, and stay tuned for more. We're getting pretty damn close to a first startup video. So anybody that's watching, thank you, and we'll see you next time.